This is Rashawn Slater, first round draft pick for the LA Chargers, and you're listening to the Charged Up Bolts podcast. Bolt up.
Hello, guys, and welcome to episode 60 of the Charged Up Bolts podcast. Can you believe it? And there's only two of us here. What's going on, Dan? Bez
episode 60. That's crazy.
I know, it's crazy. It's crazy. Bez is unfortunately still not very well. He has got a throat infection. Mr. Ayres is out and about on the road. He's left Herbert Hanger. He may join us later on the podcast, but for now, it's me and Dan King, which is really strange because you are in Colchester in the southeast of England. I live in northwest London, but I am currently in Clacton, which is about,
currently half an hour apart.
Yeah, if that, probably
20 minutes.
Yeah, 10 minutes by carrier pigeon, 5 minutes by telephone, 2 minutes by Uber. You shouldn't say that because we're not sponsoring them. Well, they're not sponsoring us, should I say? But no, how's it going, Dan?
Yeah, good. Very tired, but that comes with a 1 a.m. game on a Sunday night, Monday morning, doesn't it? So
yeah,
I know we're a further day removed from it, but it still gets you.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a super busy week at work, and I'm sat there on Monday morning in the small hours, going, "Do not lose this game," because I'm awake for this. How many times as UK football fans do we sit suffering with the red eyes, matchsticks in there, praying that our teams cross the line, and that's exactly what we did, Dan.
It was terrifying though, because I went to bed we were winning 27-10. So I was feeling pretty confident when I went to bed. Obviously it still came good. But yeah, that was nerve-wracking.
Chargers overcome the Ben Roethlisberger Steelers 41-37, lifts us to 6-4. Not an ugly way to do business for our parts. Actually, it was. What am I talking about? It's ugly again, and this is what we've come to get used to with the LA Chargers. Look, I think what we need to do first is we'll quickly talk about the game, and then we'll talk about how we feel about the Chargers in general, because I think we've been skirting the issues on some of the things that are happening off the field. You know, the social media, some of the good content that's coming our way. So we'll start with the game. I mean, where do we start? Let's start with Justin Herbert. Okay, that dude is elite. It's simple as that. 90 yards rushing.
Yep, 90 on 9 runs.
So going into the game, you'll recall that we were terrified about the fact of containing Najee Harris. Didn't have to worry because they had a rusher of their own that they had to contain, and that was Justin Herbert. I mean, this could be things to come. I don't want to see him breaking that or leaving the pocket too many times, because he's going to get clattered, as you see sometimes with Lamar Jackson. You saw it with Deshaun Watson. But look, Herbert did his thing. 90-odd yards on the ground, 300-odd yards in the air. An absolutely phenomenal performance by Justin Herbert. Austin Eckler, Dan, as you quite rightly pointed out, 4 touchdowns, first player since MJD in 2011 to have multiple rushing and multiple receiving touchdowns. It's been coming, hasn't it, Dan? With Austin,
definitely. It's he's so understated, I think. I mean, they touched on that in the broadcast as well, that people don't really talk about Austin Eckler and what he's done for this team. But you look at it, he was averaging 4.5 yards a carry, which is nice. That's kind of yardage where you can just go, we just give it to him, and you know that you'll get your first down across your 4 plays in Staley's case. And he's always really got secure hands in terms of receiving. He dropped 1 pass in that game. I don't remember if it was a drop or if it was just behind him. I can't recall that, but I know he was targeted 7 times and he caught 6. I just think when he's there and he's playing well, it just really facilitates the rest of the team and lets Herb. I do get a bit concerned when they give it to anyone else, though.
Well, this is it. And if you look at all the great offenses around the league, they've always the quarterback's always got his go-to person, right? Look, Chargers are now the third ranked offense in DVOA. That says a lot, because we always said from day one from week one of this season that the offense was the Chargers' strongest facet, and we needed special teams and the defense to pitch in and help out, and that's pretty much how Sunday played out. But the fact that Austin Eckler, the way that he came into the season a few years ago, the way that he looks after himself, I think he deserves it. And then you look up and down the stats box, the box score, and you see Mike Williams there, almost 100 yards. Keenan Allen went over 100 yards, but obviously didn't get the touchdown. But I think we haven't seen Mike Williams for a few weeks, and it was great to see him wide open out there to score that winning touchdown. I think that's potentially elevated his confidence going into week 12. But overall, I think had we lost that game, Dan, or had it gone to overtime, I think that would have raised so many questions about where the Chargers are, who they are. But I think the mental application all starts with Brandon Staley. He's so confident. He's so articulate in the way he comes across to the players, and he believes in them. And that is a massive thing. That's going to get you anywhere between, 5 and 10% extra on the field.
Absolutely. And you just have to look to Derwin James's post-game conference, where he was talking about how they just knew that the coach would trust them to go out there and get the stop, and that's exactly what they did on that final drive with the was it back-to-back sacks for about 20 yards? That he just had that faith in the defense, and you could tell that Staley wasn't concerned. He didn't look concerned, at least, and obviously the defense didn't look concerned. They had that kind of confidence being passed down through and just showing it in their play, and it was great to see. But it would have been greater to see for the rest of the fourth quarter, not just the last drive. But you can't have everything.
You can't, and this is the thing about the NFL. So yesterday, I was fortunate enough to get on and speak to Kevin on the Charger Chat podcast. Okay, one of the community podcasts, one of the many now that are growing for the Chargers fan base. And what we were talking about was the fact that even if you're playing the Jaguars or the Jets, the NFL is competitive. People are going to come out and play football. Mike Tomlin's team are not going to stand there and take it. He won't accept as a head coach. He demands the best from his players at all times. Big Ben is washed up as a pro quarterback, okay? He's got his rings. He's been a phenomenal athlete. He's been a phenomenal ambassador for that franchise. But he balled out. He could have won that game for Pittsburgh. And we shouldn't get upset when we're seeing teams reeling us back in. We've done it before to other teams. It's super competitive, and you just don't know what you're going to get in the NFL in 2021. It's absolutely crazy. Look at again. You look at other teams that are in the AFC, the Browns. I don't know what's going on with them since they put 40 odd against the Chargers. I don't think they've scored over 20 points. The Bills look like that they were about to take off and have that deep run for the AFC, and they've hit a brick wall. But the point I'm making is teams are so up and down at the minute. It's unbelievable, and we are going to see more Chargers defeats between now and the end of the season, and hopefully we will make the playoffs. But as it is right now, we're a team in rebuild mode. We've got a rookie head coach with a relatively new quarterback, new systems, and I think we have to take everything in the context of which we find ourselves. And if that means winning ugly, that means winning ugly. I mean, Dan, you're the kicker. Dustin did it again.
Yeah, absolutely great stuff. Apart from, in special teams in general, was better. Apart from the blocked punt, as Snowy referenced in the comments.
Yeah.
Hopkins has done well. You can't fault the guy, really. It's a breath of fresh air. But whilst that problem appears to be fixed, as does the return with Roberts, you then get, okay, what's going on with the blocking? Because that was Tranquil stunted, didn't get to make the block. And I don't think it was necessarily on Drew Tranquil as a whole, because he was getting double teamed. There was no one stepping to the side to help. But yeah, there's some messes still. We can't get too carried away with just, hey, our offense is firing. But it is one of the best in the league, as you said by the stat there. Third DVOA.
Third, yeah.
Third offense.
Yeah. Third ranked offense.
And you do have to compare it to the other teams around you. And I think the one team in the AFC that is giving me concern were we to face them anytime soon, which we don't, thankfully, in our schedule, is the Colts and Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
I mean, he had 5 touchdowns at the weekend, and the guy he just runs angry. And I would hate to see us come up against that. But at the same time, we did hold the Steelers to 55, was it? Yeah, 55 yards rushing.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Wild.
That is wild. I mean, you've got to look around the rest of the roster as well. Storm Norton, the 2 sacks were on him, but he's only allowed 4 pressures in the last 3 games, and he's taken a lot of criticism from this podcast and from the general Chargers fan base. But look, if he can reduce those numbers and make some improvements, he is what we have to work with him. He's there. He is what he is until we can either dip into free agency or draft in the first or second round an offensive tackle.
Exactly. How many teams have an elite left tackle and an elite right tackle and an elite center? It just doesn't happen. Corey Lindsey, brilliant. Oh yeah, Corey Lindsey handled Cam Hayward for most of the game.
Yeah, we'll talk about Cam Hayward in a minute, but Matt Filer, game ball. We really haven't talked about him enough at left guard. I think he's done a great job. He's obviously out there giving Rashawn Slater some tips, but I'm guessing they'll be working closely together in practice. But he's been absolutely amazing, and unfortunately for the likes of Matt, they're the sort of unsung hero, aren't they? Because they're never going to get nominated for MVP or anything like that.
Yeah, but it reminds me very much of, say, like the days of like Chris Dealman, and like just having a reliable, solid guard that you can just put there and you don't have to even think about it. But because he's so good, he won't get mentioned at all. It's just oh yeah, the run is happening because of the left tackle. I was like, well, the left tackle is doing what he's doing because he's also got the left guard next to him.
That's right.
One player doesn't make a line, but having those 3 next to each other is just fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, there's there were some good things that come out of that game, and one of the players that we're going to have to keep an eye on going down the stretch to see when he comes back is Asante Samuel Jr. That's his 2nd concussion. It's not nice. And if you recall, and if you recall what Joey Bosa said last season when he had his 2nd concussion, he said it scared the crap out of him.
It's similar. It makes me think of Luke Kuechly. Obviously,
yes.
I mention the Panthers every now and then because my wife's a Panthers fan. I have to watch every Panthers game. But it was very much every time anyone gets a concussion that close together, I'm just thinking about Luke Kuechly and how after one of his concussions, he was just sat there on the field being carted off, just in floods of tears, because he was so out of it. His emotions were all over the place because of the concussion. And you just think that's got to play on someone, and having those 2 concussions in such short time from each other is it's concerning.
I don't think we'll see him again till maybe week 14.
Hey, keep him out until the Super Bowl.
Well, yes, keep him out to the Super Bowl, but on a on a serious note, I mean, I think they're going to take the time to bring him back.
Which absolutely
is the right thing to do for the player. No one likes to see any player in the NFL getting hurt, but it's not great for our secondary.
No, he's played fantastically. Like
yeah.
better than you would have expected, I think.
I mean,
Like some of the plays
interceptions.
in that game.
We're still not creating enough turnovers for me on defense, but as you know, we spoke about the fact that we've got to give Herbert the ball and let the offense get us out of a sticky situation, which is what happened essentially on the early hours of Sunday night over in the States. But look, we've got another win, 6-4. I really thought the Cowboys were going to knock the Chiefs off. It goes back to the unpredictability of the NFL. So we are now one game behind the Chiefs, although we've obviously got the tiebreaker. They've played a game more. So we still don't know what the Chiefs are doing, whether they're up or down, whether they're going to have some more slides. But we've got to start putting our foot down now. It's a long journey to the playoffs. Denver on Sunday, which we're going to discuss on Thursday night's podcast. But just quickly before we wrap up with the Steelers and we just chat about the Chargers in general, the Cam Hayward punch on Herbert.
I was shocking,
on another day. On another day he gets ejected for that. But it's one of those things. I don't think the Chargers have commented too much about it. It's one of those
Herbert
things.
was asked about it. He said he hadn't seen it back, but Cam Hayward is a tough player, so you expect tough plays. But that's Herbert. That's just Herbert.
Yeah, that is just Herbert. If that had been Phillip Rivers getting a whack, Rivers would have got up and thanked him.
I think Herbert in this instance just made me think of Andrew Luck, where you used to get the video packages in between games and stuff on the NFL Network, and you'd get like clips of just the quarterbacks talking to the players, and you'd always have Andrew Luck going, "Oh, great hit, buddy," and picking up all the defensive players and stuff. And it was just like, it was a tough hit, but he's a tough player.
I think Herbert's going to be one of those pro football players that's going to do his talking with his arm.
Yeah.
I don't see him as a person that's going to start calling people out and getting aggressive. Who was the Panthers guy that was always good to run his mouth? Was it Steve Smith?
Oh, Josh Norton. Oh, Steve Smith as well. Yeah,
Steve Smith. Yeah, Josh Norton. Yeah, Herbert's not that type of character.
No,
he will punish you with his arm, and obviously as we saw on Sunday with his legs. Yes, but look,
did you see what Hayward said about the punch?
No, I didn't.
He said his other arm was caught under Herbert, so when he tried to get up, he fell back down. He wasn't trying to punch him.
All right.
That's just how he fell. Now, obviously, you can choose to believe or not believe. I don't know. We're never going to know, but it doesn't look like there's going to be any repercussion for it. You would have liked to have seen a flag at the time, though, just something to go, hey.
Well, come on. I mean, it's quite easy to sit here and get critical of the Zebras, but my Lord, they've been throwing the flags around willy-nilly this season, and Joey Bosa's already called them out once, and I think it just needs to be tightened up. The game of soccer, they've tried their hardest to sort out the officiating, and look, it's quite a kinetic sport, or it is a kinetic sport. NFL it's very aggressive, very explosive. There are times when the officials are going to miss things, but they're paid there to do a job. If generally when the players get something wrong, they'll draw a penalty. But fortunately for the Steelers, unfortunately for us, that wasn't the case. But look, great win. Win however they come, I don't care, to be quite frank. Some of our readers and listeners will have noticed that we've just set up the Charged Up Bolts podcast newsletter. You can find that on our social media handles. And I wrote a quick piece on Monday saying, look, I'm not interested in the fact that the media keep talking about 52-48 splits in the fan base and in the SoFi, or that we're winning ugly. Let's just enjoy this season, because before we know it, the season will be over. I do think that we can end the season with a winning record, Dan. 10-7 is my prediction. Kevin from
I like it.
Charger Chat, he reckons 12 victories. I'll take that all day long. If we could get to the playoffs, it would be a great achievement for this team, which has got flaws. There are lots of holes in it. But show me a team or explain to me in the NFL where there's a team right now that hasn't got some sort of flaws. But let's move away from the football slightly and let's just talk about the Chargers in general. Waxing lyrical before we came on here about All In, the Chargers All In. What's your take on that, Dan, compared to Hard Knocks?
I love it. I love it. It's obviously it's being done with the team, so it's going to be more focused on what they think the fans actually want to see, and it's going to be more in depth with people they wouldn't normally be able to speak to. But it's been great to watch. But the Chargers have had similar shows before that have been just as good, but I feel like this has kind of just taken it up a notch and just it's been just really entertaining and interesting stuff.
The thing for me is that we've got a superb quarterback that everyone wants to listen to, everyone wants to watch, and we've also got a head coach that people want to listen to. Does All In work with Mike McCoy or Norv Turner as a head coach? No. You need to have a personality, and I think Brandon Staley is that man that gives the team identity. He gives us personality, and I think the fact that the Chargers are spending so much money on their social media presence, their media production. Yes, they've still got to win over a fan base in LA. They may be trying to sort of claw back some of the old guard that left. But for us sort of established fans, I think it's great. And hopefully that content will keep coming down the line. I mean, if you look at, was it episode 2 or 3 with Derwin James?
3, I believe.
3. That's had more ratings than any of the other episodes, I believe. But
yeah, there we go. Derwin James comeback mini movie, All In episode 3.
Yeah. So I think that was
really interesting as well.
Yeah, it was. It's all been good, and we haven't spoken enough about this because the Chargers are putting on a show. Sometimes they're putting a show on the field, but the fact is that we're able to now get this additional content because it's more now about what the team has to offer, not on the field, but off it. Best uniforms in sport.
Oh, definitely.
Probably. We've not been because Boris Johnson won't let us go. But in my opinion, it's from what I've seen and what I've heard and what I've read about the place, the SoFi is probably the best stadium in the world.
It looks amazing, doesn't it?
Well,
I'm very jealous of John Ayres on it.
Well, so am I, because for our US listeners, if you ever come to the UK, get yourself to a low league soccer stadium and you will just realize how good the stadiums are in the NFL, well, across the states in general. I mean, most high school football stadiums are probably better than some of our league.
Colchester United's old ground. I used to be able to just lean over the railings and Lair Road. I used to just be able to step over onto the pitch. You had like an inch between the edge of the fans, both of us, and the pitch.
Correct. I mean, I went to the old Southampton ground, the Dell, that was made of wood. It was rickety, it was like something out of the 1920s. Well, it was something out of the 1920s, but it's just an exciting time. And we've got the draft to look forward to.
Yeah, it's a shame that we'll have the number 32 pick, but comes with the territory.
It comes with the territory with the Super Bowl, my friend. But no, I think it's
sorry. That's more of a Bez way of thinking. So
it is. We've got to try and keep on the momentum now of the Bolts, and it's not about jumping on the bandwagon at all. Look, we've seen some horrendous.
60, this is
we've endured some really, really bad football as Chargers fans over the last sort of decade. Really, there's been the good times, there's been the bad, but I think we have to enjoy the good moments while they last. Because if we don't, it's going to be a case of, well, the season's over now. I wish I'd have paid a bit more attention. So,
exactly, we've not had that success consistently. So every time we've had any form of success in the last 10 years, it has been followed by a year of disappointment. So there's no point in waiting and holding off when next year could just be awful. Just enjoy it whilst it's there, whilst we've got a situation we like, a coach we like, a quarterback we like, everyone's happy and healthy, apart from concussions, and Brian Bulaga still.
Yeah.
But
what's happening with Chris Rumph? Is he done for the season? Are we getting him back?
I don't know. I didn't see any update, but I must admit I've not gone looking for an update.
No, I haven't. I just completely forgot all about it. But we just hope that no one else ends up in the trainer's room between now and the final game of the season.
Although
I mean, look,
our no names might be able to step up, as they were calling them on the broadcast. Say Joe Gaziano had a few.
Yeah,
Braden Fahoko got that stop on 3rd and goal.
But look, this is how we found Austin Eckler. He got given a chance.
Exactly.
He took it.
It still seems crazy that I think it was last season was our first season in about 20 years without an undrafted free agent on the team.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
You know, look at our undrafted free agency record and some of the stars that we've had over the past. Antonio Gates, you know, is Donald Parham Jr. going to be the next Antonio Gates? Who knows?
Or maybe if he could catch everything. That was a bullet pass at him though, and it was just like.
Yeah, I think if I'm going to have to criticize Justin Herbert, it is the fact that he does air that ball downfield like an Exocet missile.
I do wonder if sometimes he's just excited, whether it's just a yes, throw it. Oh God, I threw that too hard. It's the same way that again going back to the Panthers, it's exactly the same as Cam Newton when he was able to throw before his shoulder injury and before his car accident, all the way back when. You couldn't tell how hard he was going to throw that ball; it would just hit them.
Yeah.
And so some of Justin's throws, I'm just a bit like,
he's still learning.
Did they hold on to that?
I know he's still learning, and it's not fair.
Love the guy, though.
Yeah, absolutely. He's phenomenal, man. He's phenomenal. Some of those throws on Sunday were just ridiculous, and I think all season you're always going to get an interception. That's the job of the secondary, the job of the defense. They're going to pick you off when that opportunity comes. It was unfortunate that turnover on Sunday, but it happened. But
how high the ball popped up as well. It was just like when it's gone up like that, there's no way that's not getting caught by someone.
But I mean, if you look around the league, or if you go back to my post on the newsletter the other day, I started off saying I'm in a forum of 32 fans. And the host asks everyone to stand up if they've got a brilliant quarterback on their roster. And half the forum has sat down. You take any GM in the league, probably with the exception of maybe the Buccaneers right now, Pat Mahomes, maybe the Bills, and say who wants Justin Herbert. I'll give you him. They're all going to say, of course, we'll take him. He walk onto 98% of the rosters in the NFL, but we've got to enjoy him while he's here, man, because before we know it, we'll all be retired. He'll be retired. But let's just hope we can just get through this stretch. Could be some more wobbles along the way. We've got Denver on Sunday. I think we finish 4-2 in the division. I think we finish 10-7 at the end of the season. And let's just see if we can at least sneak into playoffs via a wildcard berth. Final thoughts, Dan?
I'm optimistic. Following that game, I feel like we put a few of the demons behind us. We've got a really tough defense coming up, but I think that's it. I think we've got hopefully a nicer little period, and I'm just looking forward to hopefully some prolonged success.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for listening. Snowy, one of our regulars again. Thanks for the questions and the comments. We'll be back on Thursday when we look ahead to our AFC West. I'm sighing because I've just remembered it's going to be windy out there and we've got a kick. Let's stay positive. Let's stay positive. We're going to get a victory. I'm feeling it. Cheers, guys. Bolt up.
Bolt up.